Check, 1,
2. Word up. Shout out to my man, Illogic, Celestial Clockwork. It's going down. I need everybody to show love and respect. Make sure y'all support the movement. This is a great project. I'm so glad to be a part of it. And I'm definitely hyped that he's about to re-release it. So we need all the real fans to show love. Shout out to Illogic.
I thought, therefore I was. A man-machine with chrome hands holding plans to expand the scene with eyes wide shut. I wasn't surprised to find this mind behind the mask of time. Crushed glass salted the path on which bare feet would skate, foiling all attempts to escape hell. Due to sliced souls, I left blood trails for land sharks to follow, easing the pain with capsules to swallow. Resting on civilization's peak, tasting the climate. Create a ladder, attach it to weather patterns and climb it. Shatter sunlight, scatter it in the night so the sky can't find it. How's that for a game of hide and seek? My body walks, but my mind's asleep. So when I dream, I think. Therefore, reality is surreal and destiny's a fantasy. Fate is an illusion when life becomes a canopy. Where poems occupy catacombs on display for clones who fell prey to delay on microphones. Into each page of text, my heart is sown. So when the seed is planted in domes, the harvest alone is an interpretation of excellence. Where pesticides abide to ward off the weeds from gardens of negligence. The sharpness of rhyme stabs pen till it bleeds, drenching the paper that clothes each body of souls. And when the sun hides in the folds of the horizon, you'll notice 3 celestial silhouettes standing on the seas crying. What up, everybody? What up, Beats and B-Sides crew? It's Illogic here, here for another deep dive into Celestial Clockwork. Today we are diving into Time Capsule. Now, for a lot of you that haven't, what up, M Still? For a lot of you that don't know, well, I'm sure everybody knows, but this song features friends of mine, Aesop Rock, and my homie, what up, Chad? And my homie Vast Air, who you just saw in the little spot in the beginning. And I recorded this song with those guys, the first time that I went to New York, I hopped on a bus and went there for Rocksteady. And the Roots were playing, Wu-Tang Clan was playing. It was a really big show. And everybody and their mom was in town for it. Atmosphere, Idea and Abilities, Idea. Just everybody was, it was a big thing. A lot of people were there. And I had went up like a week earlier because me and Aesop, even though we had just met when he did my unforeseen release party, we had some plans to do some music together later. And Rocksteady was coming up. This is when I was a single man, so I could just hop on the bus and, do my thing. And I hopped on the Greyhound and caught the bus to New York, and I stayed with Aesop for a week. And he had a 1-bedroom apartment, and this is the same time we recorded One Brick. We recorded this song. There was a lot of music that was recorded that weekend. I believe this was the same weekend that Alchemy was recorded with Aesop and Blueprint. It was a lot that was, that happened that weekend. It was a really dope weekend. And, I just, it was my first time on the subway. It was my first time doing a lot of things for this trip, and it was really dope, to hang out with Aesop. And Aesop actually was still working at the time. He had a job at an art gallery, and he would be gone during the day. He left me the key, and I would just explore New York. I actually was there, I want to say a week or 2 weeks before 9/11 happened, and actually was standing in front of the World Trade Center at one point in my visit. And for that to happen not too much later was pretty crazy. But yeah, so that was the time that we recorded the song. And we were working on Celestial. We were finishing up. This was one of the final pieces. I want to say this was the last song that we recorded. And I just told Aesop and Vast, I was like, just write a verse that you would want to leave in a time capsule, for future people to dig up and find, and how you would want to be remembered, and how you would want, people to, if you want to issue a warning, if you want to, whatever you want to do whatever you wanted to do. And, this is how the song came up. So unfortunately, I'm not gonna try to decipher Aesop's verse or Vaz's verse. I'm not gonna put words in their mouth, you know what I mean? So this is gonna be a rather shorter episode because I'm just gonna do my verse. And another thing, I just wanna thank everybody for, being a part of this. Everybody who has ordered the Celestial Clockwork vinyl so far, I really appreciate it. It's not a lot left. It's less than 100 left. So if you haven't gotten it, do yourself a favor and do that. The last episode for 1,000 Whispers was dope, was amazing, and I appreciate everybody who has watched it. And if you haven't, you can check it out on my YouTube page. Hit my YouTube page, please. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please subscribe. Very, very soon and shortly, I'm gonna start doing some YouTube only content that will, just be for the people that follow the YouTube page. So hit that subscribe button. But this whole process has been really dope, and this whole process of going through this album and kind of giving you guys the backstory of every song and breaking down the lyrics and things like that has been really therapeutic for me, and really just extremely fun to kind of look back on one of my, probably my most popular record, and starting to really understand why it is what it is to people, and really understanding what it means to me. Again, I've said this, I a lot of times write without really thinking about everything that goes into the writing, and I start to uncover Easter eggs that I laid out, back then when I was writing this. album, and it's just fucking great, you know what I'm saying, to be able to dive into this. So thank you all again, and without further ado, we're gonna dive into these lyrics, you know what I'm saying. So I thought therefore I was a man machine with chrome hands holding plans I thought therefore I was a man machine with chrome hands holding plans to expand the scene. Word up, Chad. But so this first line, the opening line, is kind of a message to, you know, whoever would open this time capsule. I thought therefore I was a man machine with chrome hands holding plans to expand the scene. It's a play on the I think therefore I am. You know, I thought at the time of writing this that, you know, I was the second coming. You know what I'm saying? Like, I thought at the time of writing this I was indestructible as an MC. I thought at the time of writing this, you know, I couldn't be touched. I was a you know, man machine with chrome hands, almost on some Terminator shit. You know what I'm saying? Holding plans to expand the scene, holding plans to expand what people consider hip hop, especially here in Columbus. I always cared at the time, you know, I just wanted my peoples in my own city to dig my stuff. I only wanted the people, and eventually everyone else, of course, but I wanted the people in my own city to, you know, feel what I was putting down. So that's the expand the scene. I was a man machine with chrome hands holding plans to expand the scene. With eyes wide shut, I wasn't looking at everything that it was going to take, you know, to be what I wanted to be in the scene and wanted to be in hip hop even. And, you know, I hadn't really made it anywhere yet, you know, at this time. And it's crazy to look back on a lot of these lyrics, and I was kind of foreshadowing a lot of things that would happen in my career. I was kind of foreshadowing a lot of things that I would feel in my career. And this was one of those things, you know, with eyes wide shut, I wasn't surprised to find this mind of mine behind the mask of time. Crushed glass salted the path on which bare feet would skate, foiling all attempts to escape hell. So with eyes wide shut, walking into this, not really understanding what I was going to be encountered with, you know, I wasn't surprised to find this mind of mine behind the mask of time. I wasn't surprised to find this mind of mine a step behind everything that I wanted to do. But, you know, not really understanding the time that it would take, not really understanding the hustle that it would take in order to get to the point that I wanted to get to as far as an artist. Crushed glass salted the path on which bare feet would skate. I was walking a path that at the time it was dangerous for me, because, you know, I had already had the success of Got Lyrics. I had the success of Unforeseen Shadows. This was around the time when I was really touring heavy and, you know, dealing with having a new wife. A lot of people don't know, but Got Lyrics came out in October of 2002, I want to say. And was it 2002? I believe it was 2002. But that same month that Got Lyrics came out, I got married, had my first kid, and went on my first tour, all in that same month. And I didn't understand what being a touring artist meant. I didn't understand what the weight that would be on my shoulders as a touring artist. I understood that going out here and having fun was what I was going to do, but I didn't understand the weight that would carry, you know. So bare feet, crushed glass salted the path on which bare feet would skate. I was out here, you know, just walking around aimlessly almost, you know what I'm saying? I was getting drunk on tour. Like, this is when I really started drinking. Before I started touring, I had a beer here and there. I had my first drink when I was 18, when I was in college. And after that, I was just really a weed head. I smoked a lot of weed, smoked cigarettes, unfortunately, but I didn't really drink. I wasn't a drinker. I had drinks here and there. On my 21st birthday, I got plastered, but I wasn't really a drinker. And as I started touring, I started drinking, and I was drinking and smoking, and, you know, I was out there kind of in a fog a lot of times, there are, and a lot of cats that I know that have slowed down drinking that I started touring with, Slug, Print, a lot of my friends that started touring and really got into alcohol and other drugs pretty heavy, have slowed down since then. And there's a lot of things that are foggy, a lot of stuff I don't remember, a lot of things that are lost in the fog of alcohol, are lost in the fog of, being high all the time. And, that's really, for me, that's really, a thing that I wish I could change. That's one of the regrets that I have during my career, was that I got too heavy into the alcohol and too heavy into the drinking and too heavy into the fans and the groupies and all that stuff. So I was out here, crushed glass salted the path on which bare feet would skate, foiling all attempts to escape hell. So in the process of this was when I was trying to really get out of my depression. I was on my way out, and writing this album definitely helped me. But my hell was my depression. My hell was my life at the time. And a lot of times out on tour, it was my escape to be on the road. I didn't have to deal with my wife directly. I didn't have to deal with being a father and a husband. I could just be out here and be an artist and have fun. And I lived, almost two different lives sometimes in doing that. And, it's one of those things, looking back on it, like, I really squandered the opportunity. But I wouldn't be the artist I am today and the man I am today without having those pitfalls that I hit. So bare feet would skate, foiling all attempts to escape hell. Due to sliced souls, I left blood trails for land sharks to follow, easing the pain with capsules to swallow. So I talked about during The Only Constant how I developed, due to migraines, I developed a, small pill habit earlier in my college days. And, I was still doing this rarely, a lot more rare. I was doing the pills, but, I was medicating with other things. I was medicating with the alcohol. I was medicating with the marijuana. Never really took any other drugs except mushrooms. But I was medicating with those things. Easing the pain with capsules to swallow, resting on civilization's peak, tasting the climate. As an artist and as a musician and as an entertainer, these are the people that are at the height of our civilization. These are the people, and everybody, of course, doesn't see them that way. But in the eyes of normal society, the peak of civilization are the people that are our entertainers, the people that are our actors and musicians and, the people that are in that upper echelon of entertainment, because they're in our faces all the time. And, cats want to be them. They model their lives after them, things of that nature. So as an artist, and it's one of the things that, I've always talked about, with my wife and, other people when I get involved in conversations, when you talk about artists and touring artists and people that are in the entertainment industry, period. When you're on that stage, you are the most important thing in that room, whether it's 100 people, whether it's 10,000 people. You are the most important thing in that room, and there's nothing like that. There's no feeling, and there's no amount of power really that can compete with that. You have all the power for that hour, half hour, whatever, 3 hours for some artists who are, at that point where they can perform that long. For that time, especially your name is on the marquee, your face is on the flyer, like you are that dude, or, you're that girl, you're that person at the time. And so this line was talking about that, resting on civilization's peak, tasting the climate. I was tasting everything out there, creating a ladder, attach it to weather patterns in climate, shatter sunlight scattering in the night so the sky can't find it. So a lot of times when I was on tour, I slept all day and I was up all night. You know what I'm saying? I didn't have a lot of days where I was, cognizant, other than, like I would wake up, around noon, depending on when we had to be to the next city. I would wake up and, go eat, you know what I'm saying? But most of my living was at night. most of my living was not when the sun was up. Most of my living was when, at night, you know what I'm saying, when the moon was up. So, shatter sunlight, scatter it in the night so the sky can't find it. How's that for a game of hide and seek? My body walks, but my mind's asleep. So when I dream, I think. During this time, because I was in this fog of alcohol, I was in this fog of, marijuana. I was in this fog of ego. I was in this fog, and I was walking around, and a lot of this I didn't really realize until going back into these songs and really understanding where I was when I wrote a lot of this stuff, and where I was, and where I am now, and really understanding how that shaped me and how that created the person that, created this album, and, the cat that you are listening to now. So, creating a ladder, body walks, but my mind's asleep. So I was out there walking, but, mentally, like, I wasn't there like I should have been. If I was, then my career wouldn't have took the turn that it took. I would have been a little more involved in the business. I would have been a little more involved in the everyday runnings of Weightless, which is the crew that I was with and the label that I was with. I make the choice to just be an MC and just enjoy the fun part of it. What up, EJ? But, and I wish I didn't. Now, when I'm in this position where I'm a completely independent artist and I'm putting out my own records, and I'm the one that's at the helm, I'm learning a lot of stuff on the fly. And I do have, cats that I can contact and ask questions to and bounce ideas off of. But, if I would have had the mindset that I have now back then, I would be in a completely different place in my career. And it's not, unfortunate, because I don't think that I would be the man that I am today. I might not even be married, you know what I'm saying, still. Because if I was all business back then there's a lot of things that didn't necessarily fit into the business model of a small growing MC that wanted to, reach a certain plateau. So my body walks, but my mind's asleep. So when I dream, I think. Therefore, reality is surreal. This is talking about my tour life as opposed to my family life. This was the split. And all of this verse is more of a warning, to cats that want to get into this business, that want to get into this industry, about how the dichotomy of who you are can also derail, your future and where you're going if you're not careful and if you don't really understand what you're getting involved in. That's why this is what I wanted to put in my time capsule. Therefore, reality is surreal and destiny's a fantasy. Fate is an illusion when life becomes a canopy. Now, all of this I'm saying, if you're not focused on where you are supposed to go and doing things the right way, and you're just chilling, your life is a canopy. Your life is just, I'm relaxing under the umbrella, just chilling with a couple drinks, and, life is just passing me by. I'm just on relax mode. You know what I'm saying? Fate is an illusion when life becomes a canopy. Where poems occupy catacombs are underground, cemeteries. Where poems occupy catacombs on display. So, as an underground artist, I was putting myself in this place, and a lot of people didn't really recognize it. This is everything that I saw, coming for me in my career, and the things that I had learned during this time and going forward into this, career, and how I would try to proceed learning these lessons. A lot of the songs on Celestial are a lot of lessons that I learned, a lot of lessons that, I was kind of telling myself that I was going to learn. And, it's really crazy to look back on. But where poems occupy catacombs on display for clones who fell prey to the delay on microphones. In each page of text, my heart is sown. So when the seed is planted in domes, the harvest alone is an interpretation of excellence. So as you listen to what I'm talking about on this record, as you listen to what I'm talking about on all of my records throughout my career, when those seeds are planted, the harvest alone is an interpretation of excellence. The things that you get from them are things that you can utilize as well on your path and on your journey. Whether you're an artist, whether you're just, normal Joe Schmo with an everyday life, there's a lot of things to learn from Celestial and a lot of my other music, just as far as life lessons that I've learned. I fashioned myself as, my mom always told me, and my grandmother and my wife even, that I'm a speaker, and I've never been one for public speaking. And it's a wild thing that I'm doing a live, almost a live podcast where, it's predicated on me talking. I've never been one for, the spotlight in that way. I've never been comfortable even in front of crowds doing things like this. If this was something that was live in front of a crowd, I don't know if I would even, be able to do it, and my anxiety and my, heart palpitations and all that stuff. Like I would probably lose my freaking mind, and maybe I'd get more comfortable as time went on. But I was never really a person that was good at public speaking. Rapping was a different story because I was in control of that. It was premeditated completely. So, as long as the beat was on, because even if you've been to any of my shows, I was never one with good banter in between songs. Print is really good at that. Slug has always been really good at that. Idea was great at that. I've never been one, I always put all of the energy into the rapping and let that be the speaking, as opposed to giving, banter and talking to the audience and things like that. I was never good at that. When poems occupy catacombs on display for clones who fell prey to delay on microphones, and in each page of text my heart is sown. So when the seed is planted in domes, the harvest alone is an interpretation of excellence. Where pesticides abide to ward off the weeds from gardens of negligence. So the pesticides was the negative thoughts that I was kind of sprinkling on my career. And or not necessarily the negative thoughts, but the positive thoughts. The weeds were the negative thoughts that I was trying to, kill. You know what I'm saying? Where pesticides abide to ward off the weeds from gardens of negligence. The sharpness of rhyme stabs pen till it bleeds. As an MC, I'm a sharp MC. Drenching the paper that clothes each body of souls. Now, when the sun hides in the folds of the horizon, you'll notice 3 celestial silhouettes standing on the seas crying. Now, this last line was just kind of a closing, because initially I was actually planning on going last in this song. So that line would have made more sense in, the scheme of things if I would have went last. But the reason that Vast went last, because Vast ending really tied up everything. What did he say? So we left a precious capsule. So in 100 years, when you find this, you gotta rewind this, and it's an evolving compliment, like we all came from fish. So that was the ending, because I wrote my verse before them, and I didn't hear their verses before I recorded mine. When we recorded all together, initially I thought that I would go first, but once I heard everybody's verses, it was perfect, for Vast to end the song. So, that's my verse for Time Capsule. That's the breakdown of it. Now, I really appreciate you guys checking this out. Thanks to everybody who was in the chat. If you are in the chat and you haven't followed me yet on YouTube, you can hit that. If you have yet to order your Celestial Clockwork vinyl, get them while they last. They will not be around for that much longer. We are definitely running low. We under 100. And I'm not excited about packing these joints up either. But, it's part of the process. So thanks everybody for all of your support. Thank you for checking this out. And, next week, I believe we are on Celestial Clockwork, I believe is the next joint that we are doing. Let me make sure. Because, sometimes I don't even know the order of my joints. But yeah, next week, Celestial Clockwork. So be back on the two verse joints. I appreciate that, M. Still, man. Thank you for joining. Thank you for checking it out. Yeah, so next week, Celestial Clockwork, which is actually, the title track, of course, and, really the foundation of this album and the kind of the foundation of, what I believe that my career has stood on. And we will break that joint down next week. So thank y'all so much for joining me. I really appreciate it. And until next time, y'all have a good night. Peace.